How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of your favorite bass fishing podcast, Scales and Tales, episode 205, big number 205. Today, we're joined by a guy you guys have maybe seen on the television, maybe you've seen on Instagram, maybe you've seen at all the events, everything. There's a multitude of ways that you guys have maybe have interacted with this guy or seen him, like I said, on your TV, which is pretty cool. We have Big Gus from Swimbait Culture. Just to give a little rundown of his little background, I wrote some talking points here. World-renowned tattoo artist, worked on Spike TV's reality TV show Tattoo Nightmares, owner of GT Baits, and then also hosts the Swim Baits for Autism in April that you guys, I guarantee, have seen. If you didn't know any of the other lists, you guys probably know Swimbait Culture for the Autism Awareness fundraiser giveaway that they do in April. So that was just a quick rundown. We'll probably obviously get into it a little bit more here as we get going. But I told Gus the icebreakers before we got started because, like I said on the last one, I don't want to put people on the spot here. So, Gus, getting right into it, man. If we're gonna go fishing, you okay?
Yeah,
Let me restate this. You're in Ohio right now, correct?
I'm recently within the last year and a half have moved to Ohio. Yep.
Okay. Okay, so we're kind of in the
Yep.
same neck of the woods, so I'm intrigued to hear your go-to place. But as always, Gus and I hypothetically are gonna go fishing in the morning. We gotta stop, we gotta fill up the boat, fill up the truck, whatever else it may be. Get a little snacks, maybe get a drink or two. Gus, where is like the local watering hole that we're gonna stop on the way to the lake? And then what are we picking up while we're there? What's your go-tos?
You know what? That's a pretty funny question because lately I finally found my place where I like to stop at when I go fishing, and it's around here. I think it's called Sheets.
Oh
They
yeah,
call it
yep,
Sheets.
yep.
Yeah. So Sheets would definitely be the place I would stop because they got like cheap, good coffee is what I
Mhm.
call it. So definitely have to get my coffee. Definitely have to get an energy drink and water. That's pretty much all I need to go fishing, man. That's it. And put gas in the tank.
Yeah.
Gas in the boat. My boat's not here yet. It's still in Kelly, but it'll be here soon.
Heck yeah.
So
Um,
definitely mandatory coffee and energy drinks
there we go. Question off of
for
that
sure.
icebreaker question. What's the go-to coffee? Are you a straight black coffee kind of guy? You put a little cream, a little sugar? What's like the go-to coffee routine for you?
Dude, mostly just straight black with a
Yeah.
little bit of sugar, to be honest
Okay.
with you. Yeah. I mean, I hated coffee growing up, but then as I got into heavily fishing saltwater when I was way, way younger,
Hmm.
on the saltwater boats, all they had in SoCal was just black coffee. They didn't
Mm.
have no fancy creamers on the
Yeah.
boat. So you just get used to drinking that cheap black coffee. Like, I hate fancy stuff. I just want cheap Folgers or, whatever
Yeah.
Maxwell, whatever's in the pot at the gas station. I'm good with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I respect that. I respect that. And
Yeah.
then the new icebreaker
Yeah.
question that kind of piqued your interest prior to starting recording. I kind of saw the wheels starting to turn a
Okay.
little bit what your answer might be. So Gus has miraculously made it into the Bassmaster Classic this year, and they emailed me like, "Hey Gus, we need to know your walk-up song to play when you pull your boat in and you get ready to walk up on stage. What's the answer? What are you emailing back to the Bass Elites to say this is what I want everybody to hear when I walk up on stage? It's going to get me hyped and it's going to get everybody else in the stands kind of to know the type of person I am to just get in the same feeling that I'm in. Well, what's the go-to song for you?
I would have to say like the one that I used when I was training MMA would have to be ACDC Thunderstruck for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's like my jam.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
like I'm coming in hot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's I'm
For sure.
always so this is the fifth time I've asked this question. I'm always worried that I'm gonna get an answer that I'm just like not familiar with, but I've lucked out all five times I've known the songs that everybody has given me. So we'll see how long we can keep that
Yeah,
streak going. But Thunderstruck, a classic,
yeah,
like just like you said, just
yeah.
gets
It's
you
like
going,
it's like
gets you in the
all
mood.
American.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Hypes you up. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And it's a good
exactly.
song. It's got a good.
Yep, yep. Get you going.
ACDC's classic rock is my favorite music to
Mm.
listen to, besides old '90s hip hop and country. But I definitely have to say classic rock is my go-to music. So ACDC for sure, hands down.
Heck yeah.
Thunderstruck all day,
Heck yeah, man.
even when I go fishing.
Yeah, got to get you in the mood to get out there. So speaking of the fishing
Yeah,
thing, let's just obviously we'll start right there and kind of how you got into it. Did you grow up in Cali, and is that kind of where you got? You'd mentioned the saltwater, like the sports boats and that sort of thing. Is that
yeah.
where you cut your teeth and got into the whole fishing side of things, or like what's Big Gus's story on the fishing side of your hobby list?
Oh, I mean, fishing has been in my DNA since I was super tiny. I didn't have a dad growing up, and my mom was a nurse.
Mm.
And towards the end of her career, not the end, like the middle of her career, she became a home care nurse for a little while, and she was taking care of a World War II veteran. His name was Mr. Studell, actually, and he was a hunter, a fisherman, and an avid outdoorsman.
Mm.
And my mom, we there was four boys, and we didn't have no dad, we didn't have nothing like that, and so he knew that my mom would leave us at daycare all the time. So my mother uh, told him about us, and he's like, "Well, you should bring them over." And so little by little, we started hanging out with this old World War II veteran. Well, long and behold, he took us hunting and fishing because
Wow.
we were all boys.
Yeah.
So he took us hunting with like little 22 rifles,
Hmm.
shooting rabbits and snakes. And then he took me fishing when I was 5. And my first place I went fishing was what we call it the Pud, is what we call the lake out here, Pudding Stone. And I caught my bass. First fish I ever caught was a little baby bass. I still remember too. It's crazy. But yeah, dude, since I was 5, I just immersed in fishing and hunting since then. And then um, just growing up before school, like not ditching school, but my buddy Anthony would come and knock on my window, and I'd have my bike ready, and I'd freaking like jump out the window fully dressed at like 4:35 in the morning. We'd go catfishing on the LA riverbed. I grew up in LA, so downtown LA area. We didn't really have lakes. Griffith Park was a little bit of a drive, but mostly LA riverbed is where we went fishing as kids.
Mm.
And so we would sneak out early in the morning, go fishing for catfish, and then from there I got heavily into bass fishing as I got older, and crappie fishing and bluegill fishing, the basic stuff.
Mm.
Catfishing, I fell in love with catfishing for like a few years. I did that heavily. And then as I turned into a teenager, able to drive, I started, not skateboarding down to the beach and the piers, and I go and scrub the boats, and they
Mm.
let us get on the boats. And then from being on the boats, we'd go saltwater fishing for, calico and sand bass. And then from that, it turned into like Dorado and yellowtail. And then I got obsessed with saltwater fishing forever, like literally my adult life. It was either that or trout fishing.
Mm.
And trout fishing too, like I was obsessed with it. I met my friend Mike Bennett when I was 17. Uh, Most of you guys might know who Mike Bennett is. He's an OG big bait guy, but he's also a head designer and creator of like Fish Lab lures now. He was with Savage Gear at first, USA. He was their head designer and Swimbait lure original creator. So me and Mikey, yeah, we'd go trout fishing, and we still do till this day, but we would do that. And then I got back into bass fishing heavily because I started having more children, and I didn't want to be out on the boats too long. And then I just obsessed with bass fishing, throwing big baits. We started throwing it, fishing Castaic. My mom would drop us off at Castaic Lake because we were from LA. And in the summer, she would just go and drop us off at the lake, and we would literally stay there all day,
Mm.
like just fishing, me and my brothers. And that's how I saw Butch, like on the boat when I was a little kid.
Mm.
And yeah, so my background in fishing is extensive. Till this day, I mean, I went from fishing for fun to, creating a channel on YouTube. And where I used to live in Southern California, there's a lake called Diamond Valley, and it's extremely difficult to catch big bait fish there. Like, you'll get them now and then, but to be like consistent, it's extremely difficult.
Mm.
And I started this channel in the fishing, and it took off. And I started working with Sims, started working with Okuma, Savage Gear, uh, Traeger grills. I mean, all these cool companies just because I was having fun fishing. It's not like because I wanted to, like, that wasn't my goal. You know what I'm saying? It's just I just wanted to go fishing, and yeah, I started catching a lot of giants and having fun. And now I do lure concept designs. I do rod design and testing for Okuma. I do. I mean, the list can go on and on, bro. I
Mm.
do so much cool stuff but it all involves my artwork.
You're right.
So, my art is what gets me into these situations. So
Mm.
yeah, it's cool. Yeah, till this day, like it's game on all the time fishing.
Yeah.
It's in my blood.
Yeah, coming from like a super, by the sounds of it, like a rich background in the fishing scene, like getting to experience all that stuff from, that 5 years
Yeah.
old all the way up to 18, getting to go out on the big boats and stuff. That's super cool. And so now that we kind of know the background of your fishing stuff, you just kind of like let us right into the background of your art. Like when did art start to be not even necessarily play a role in your life? When did you start to, pick up pencils or pens or whatever and just start sketching and realize, okay, this is something that I have just as much
Yeah,
interest
yeah.
in and I'm decent at it. Hey guys, I want to take a minute to introduce you to my friends over at snooksnacks.com, an online tackle shop built by fishermen for fishermen. The owners are die-hard anglers themselves, and they put a real focus on swim baits and glide baits, the kind that all of us trophy hunters rely on. Snooksnacks partners with many brands to produce exclusive swim baits in custom colorways that you simply can't find anywhere else. Their swim bait lineup in particular is carefully hand-picked for proven mass production baits to custom handcrafted swim baits, all of which flat out catch fish. Snooksnacks is always giving back to the community too, with regular giveaways on rods, reels, and high-end swim baits. And when you place an order, you'll get lightning fast shipping and customer service that's second to none. If you're ever not 100% satisfied with your order, they'll move mountains to make sure you're happy. And don't let the name fool you. Snooksnacks has gear for trophy anglers everywhere, whether you're chasing bass, muskie, stripers, or anything in between. If you're listening to this podcast, odds are you'll find something at Snooksnacks that earns a permanent spot in your lineup. So do yourself a favor and check them out at snooksnacks.com, and be sure to use code SNT10 to save 10% off. Make sure you guys also follow them on Instagram to stay in the loops of drops, deals, and giveaways. Picture this: the sun rising over the mountains, your line gets tight, and the fight of a lifetime begins. Welcome to Lake Bacharach Lodge, Mexico's premier largemouth bass fishing lodge. Nestled in the heart of the Sierra Madre Mountains, Lake Bacharach Lodge offers world-class fishing, luxury accommodations, first-class hospitality, and expert guides who know where the grandes live. Whether you're chasing giants or kicking back after a day on the water with a frosty, cold, bottomless margarita, we've got you covered. Home to some of the biggest bass in the world, Lake Bacharach is truly an angler's paradise. Don't miss your shot at the bass of a lifetime. Book your trip now at www.lakebacharachlodge.com or call 806-316-8382 today. Lake Bacharach Lodge, truly the best in bass. If you're listening to this podcast, it's safe to assume you're tossing big baits for trophy bass. You already know that treble hook changes are part of the game, but they don't always have to be a pain in the butt to do. Toit split ring pliers are hands down the easiest way to swap out treble hooks, especially on those beefy swim baits we all love. No more slipping, no more fighting your gear, just smooth, secure hook changes every time. Available in 3 fixed sizes in a full kit with interchangeable jaws that safely open up any size split ring. Toyota doesn't stop there. They offer a full lineup of precision tools designed with anglers in mind, including long and short nose pliers, scissors that cut cleanly on limp braid, and wire forming tools perfect for rigging those soft baits. So up your game with Toit, because when you're chasing giants, every detail matters. Check them out at toitfishing.com and be sure to use code SNT15 for 15% off your order. Again, that's toitfishing.com, TOIT fishing.com, and again, SNT15 for 15% off your order.
Well, same thing again, dude. Like, since I was a little kid, I just love drawing, man. Like, I mean, quick story. I was in kindergarten, and they told us to draw some characters, and I drew Snoopy. And the teacher goes, "Oh, that's a nice tracing," you know. And I was like, I didn't trace it," and I got in trouble for it, actually, you know. And she sent me home with the yellow slip, and I go home and I show my mom, "Hey, Mom, I got this yellow slip." She's like, "What'd you get a yellow slip for?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, the teacher said I was lying." So she's like, "Well, what were you lying about?" I was like, I don't know. She said I was lying about drawing Snoopy, you know? And like, I can vaguely remember the conversation. She told me later on this, before she had passed away, but she reminded me of the story. And I guess that I had drawn Snoopy. She took me back and she told the teacher, "He's not lying. Draw Snoopy." And I drew Snoopy. And she got in trouble, and it was crazy. But ever since I was little, I've been drawing. And then, you know, when I turned 9, I started doing graffiti. Growing up in LA.
I was just about to ask you that. I didn't, not to incriminate you or anything.
Jungle,
but
bro.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I mean, growing up in downtown South, I mean, I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. So like our backyard, our playground was like a place called La Placita, which is like a place downtown where, you know, it's one of the old missionaries where we would go to church. And then right across the street was like City Hall. And it wasn't a park, but it was a park to us. You know what I mean? And so it's like just growing up in those areas, doing graffiti, started at 9 years old, doing graffiti, watching guys do murals in the Chicano neighborhoods. There was always murals being painted at that time, always. Like, whether it was like, you know, Virgin Marys or Jesus or, you know, straight gang graffiti, like it all intrigued me deeply. Like, it was my atmosphere, you know what I'm saying? Like lowriders, you know, graffiti, you know, the park playgrounds, and it just, the hip hop vibe. It was all a part of my environment growing up. And so was tattooing, you know. I was heavily involved in gangbanging when I was young. And so everybody had tattoos. All the homies had tattoos. And so I started doing tattoos when I was 13. And I started airbrushing when I was 13 because I used to work at the swap meet and sell radios. And the guy next to us was an airbrush artist. And I was so intrigued by it that I would go over there little by little. And then next thing you know, I'm helping him airbrush. So he taught me how to airbrush. And from there, I went to tattooing. Tattooing. I was 12. I was about to turn 13, and I remember my homie just got out, and he's like, "Hey man, I learned how to make a homemade machine for tattoos." And I was like, "That's crazy, right?" And so he shows us, he makes one. He's like, "Tattoo us, man. You know how to draw." And I was like, "You're freaking crazy, dog. I'm not gonna tattoo you guys. You're gonna beat the crap out of me if I mess you guys up, you know?" He's like, "Come on, dog. Everyone's busted right now. Like, just tattoo us, dog. You know, I got the ink. I made the machine." And he like, my friend Joey made like a little thing out of like a racing car battery and a toothbrush and a Walkman motor. And we didn't have a needle, so we got like a paper clip and we strained it out as straight as we can get it. And we filed the edge of it down. And the very first tattoo I did, instead of tattooing my homie, I tattooed myself. And so, yeah. And then I was like, all right, let's do it. And did this big old like Grim Reaper with a scary tree for my first. I was like 13. I didn't know what I was doing. Um, but it didn't stop from there. After that, I was like obsessed with tattoos, just like I was in fishing and being outdoors. And I started looking at magazines and like Jack Rudy and Freddie Negretti and like all these classic people that are now my dear friends, but just legends in the industry. And I just admired the black and gray Chicano work, the LA style, you know, the clowns and the gangster style tattoos. Because I mean, that's the way I grew up. I grew up in LA, like everything was like guns and knives and chicks with boobs hanging out. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
was just the style of tattooing that we did. And I turned 16, went to a tattoo shop for the first time in East LA with my friend Ricky and Joey's father. And he's like, "You want to go to the tattoo shop?" And I was like, by this time, I was like, "Oh, yeah, let's go." Walked in, and my friend Murdoch, God rest his soul, he passed away now. But at the time, he wasn't my friend. But I walked in, 15-year-old kid, and I see this big Mexican dude with long hair, big old beard, dude. He's all yoked and tatted, and he's sitting there tattooing. And I was like, instantly, I was like, that's gonna be me when I grow up. Like, I'm not lying. That's like the truth right there. And that was, I dedicated myself to the artwork after that, you know, graffiti and tattooing. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's been it. And it's been a blessing, you know what I mean? To be able to have the talent to be where I'm at. So yeah, it's cool. That's just a short version
Yeah, yeah,
of my background as
right.
far as art goes.
That like around that like 16, 17 years old, did you ever have any anticipation of like these two things that you were like majorly involved in like loved ever having the opportunity to cross paths, or did you ever like think of like them benefiting off each other at any point?
What do you mean, like fishing and the style of art that I did?
Yeah, fishing or like just tattooing or art in general. Like, did you ever like think that I'm gonna be making logos for people or I'm gonna be, just
No,
whatever else it
no,
may be like
no,
that?
heck no. Yeah, no, I mean, not ever, man. I mean, it was always a hustle, right? Like growing up in LA, you're poor. You know, we were super poor. Like we were extremely poor. We had no dad. We had no, my mom worked two jobs as a nurse. My aunt worked two jobs. I was raised by my aunt and my mother. In South Central in LA area, and it's just it's one of those things where art not only got me out of that thought process, but also it was a hustle. Like, so airbrushing was a hustle. When I learned airbrush, I made money from it. When I learned to tattoo, I made money from it. Graffiti, I made money from it. I did murals on it on the LA walls, downtown Melrose, Hollywood Boulevard. Everything was always a hustle, but I enjoyed it. But I never saw it as like a career. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Because like art, it's you don't really look at art as a career when you're immersed in it,
Mm.
right? You're just doing it because you're just passionate about it. Like you love it so much, you're just out there doing it, and you get a couple bucks or a case of beer or whatever. You're like some weed, and you're like, yeah, I'm down. You just want to keep doing it because you like doing it. Sometimes I would just do it just to get free cans so I can do another piece later. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And just things like that. And so I never really looked at it like as a career until I got older.
Mhm.
And when I turned 20, I had the opportunity. We were having a house party at my house. I've been living on my own since I was 16, 17 years old. So when I was 20, I had a little place and I was having a tattoo party at my crib. And we had gone to this tattoo shop where one of our friends had got pierced by the piercer. Well, the piercer was hitting all over our homegirl. And so he's flirting with her. And she's like, "Oh, you should come back to the party and hang out." So he does. And he comes back to the hang out at our house. And we're having this party. We got a bunch of homies and shit, you know. And and he goes, oh, hey, he's watching me tattoo one of the homeboys. He's like, hey, man, you want a job? And I was like, a job? I was like, I
Yeah.
got a job. At the time, I was working at a rubber mill, doing like, we would press like O-rings for like cars,
Yep.
space
Yeah. Yeah.
shuttles, vacuum. I mean, you name it, we did it. Pretty much, it was a big metal shed, and I had gone to school. I worked my way up in the company that they sent me to school to learn how to make the rubber.
Mm.
And we literally worked like in this big metal shed, and we would have to get all these chemicals together, which was like probably the most toxic environment I can think of now that I think about it. Carbon black would like seep through our hazmat suits. It was horrible. Anyways, um, I was working there at the time, and it was a good job. And so he offered me a job, and he's like, "You should come to the tattoo shop." So I take my homeboy over there, and I had done his whole back. Like I did like a, I don't know, some people from the West Coast will know what I'm talking about, but it's a Mexican soldier guy or warrior, and he's holding up like a girl like this, and he's like
Mm.
on a hill. It's like a very popular painting in LA for the Hispanic culture, you
Mhm.
know. And so I did it, and I took him over there. I was like, "Well, I don't have a portfolio, dog," but I showed the owner. I said, I got my homeboy right here. I did his back." And so my homeboy takes his shirt off. He showed him his bag. He's like, "You're hired," like just like that.
Yeah.
Did it? I didn't have no experience in tattoo shops. I was tattooing with only I had just got like a kit off of Huck and Spalding that you get off like a magazine, Easy
Mm.
Rider at the time,
Mhm.
and I was doing everything with like a single needle or a three liner because I didn't know what shaders were or nothing.
Mhm.
And I got hired at a tattoo shop, and next thing you know, I'm working two jobs, and I at the time, I told the ex lady, I said, "Hey man, I can't be doing this." My ex, and she's like, "Well, you don't want to be mixing rubber your whole life." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right." She's like, "Well, just quit." She was working at the same job, so
Mm.
we were able to take care of the bills, even if it wasn't.
Mhm.
When you first start tattooing, you don't really make that much money, right? And so I was like, probably the best thing that ever happened out of that relationship was her telling me that, to be honest with you. And I quit my job and I started tattooing full time. And within 2 years, bro, I was crushing it.
Mm.
Like just making mad cash. Like
Mm.
just it was, the late 90s. Um, and just I mean, we were doing like 15, 20 tattoos a day. They were all like, street style
Mhm.
tattoos. My first job was like at a shop above a bar. So we always got like the drunk, crazy dudes in
Yeah.
there. But hey, I learned how to tattoo there. And from there I went to tattoo in Hollywood. I tattooed in Hollywood. I tattooed in Venice Beach at the Suicidal Tendencies tattoo shop. I did that for a few. That was cool. And then I worked on, Venice Beach. Did all that. It's just all the horrible tourist
Yeah.
drunkenness, late nights. Non-tattooed shop owners just running you down. But I'm very grateful for that because I learned like how to tattoo quickly. I learned professionally how to work. I learned everything on my own. And so I was able to adjust quickly and learn the true technical side of tattooing very quickly.
Mm.
And I'm very grateful for that experience. So I did that for about a good like 7 years
Wow.
before I went to like good shops.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Is it
yeah,
so when you were coming up in the tattooing like industry or tattoo world, do you kind of see flashbacks of it like with what we have in the swimbait world? Like there's like a core group of guys that, everybody kind of knows
for
whether they're bouncing around shops or, in magazine work or that sort of thing. And then there's kind of a subculture of people that are just getting into it or aren't as
for
well
sure,
established as some others.
for sure. It's 100% exactly the same.
Mm.
It's like I feel like any industry that requires a level of custom art and dedication and I'm going to call them outside the box thinkers.
Mm.
You have that subculture, right? Like you have that following, you have that like legendary following, so to speak, of a tradition that's been handed down to you. And tattooing is the same way. Tattooing a little bit more obviously than swim baiting. I don't really want to compare them because they are different,
Mhm.
but the culture is the same. And so what I mean by the culture is like so you have your favorite bait makers in tattooing. You have your favorite guys that you look up to,
Mm.
and they're just legends. They just paved the way for your style of tattooing. And as you get older and more involved in it, you start to recognize who they are and you appreciate them more. You research them more.
Yeah.
You obviously are influenced by them a
Mhm.
lot. You're influenced by, the way that they present themselves, whether that's good or bad. You're influenced by everything that you would see in magazines too,
Mm.
And magazines were a big deal back then. It
Yeah.
wasn't like it is now with Instagram and all that stuff. So magazines was the deal, and that's how you got known back then.
Mm.
And in order to get known in magazines, you had to travel and go to shows, and do all that good stuff. So yeah, it's the same, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a question that I had to rewind a little bit. When somebody, especially, in the mid 90s, like you were referring to when you were traveling around a lot, when somebody's like, "Hey, what's your portfolio?" Do you like essentially have printed pictures in a manila envelope that you carry around with you from shop to shop, or kind of like how do you show your work, back in the day when guys aren't necessarily snapping pictures with their iPhones and stuff?
Right. Well, I mean, you would do just like like your old school, like book trading card
Oh,
books
okay. Yeah,
type of
yeah.
a thing.
Yep.
You would put pictures like in slips and stuff
Mhm.
like that, and people would be able to flip through your 4x6s all day long, and
Yeah.
that's how you would do it for like if you worked at a tattoo shop or
Right.
something, people would come in, and then that's how they would look at your work. Specifically though, um, when it came to showing off my work, there came a point in my life where, like I said, I had a really tough background in gangbanging and stuff like that, and I got into a situation where I almost lost my life, and getting shot, and let's just say I saw the light and I came back. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I was able to make it through that, and I locked myself in a garage for like a whole year and like a year and a half, something like that. And I just told myself, like I'm not gonna die doing Cherry Creek. Cherry Creek was like your, you walk in the shop and like, oh, I want number 55 or whatever, blah
Yeah,
blah,
yeah.
And I was like, I'm not gonna die like that. Like it just set something off in my
Mm.
brain. Like you want to do better than what you're doing now. Like so, show the world what you can do. And I locked myself in the garage. I got two of my friends and I tattooed everything that I wanted to do on them, and did his whole stomach, did his whole back, his arms. And I would go to these tattoo conventions. I had no money. We were broke. And all right, guys. My very first convention I went to, it was I think it was Anaheim, California. I want to say it was 2022. I have the award somewhere, but anyways, I had done his stomach, and it was like a train and some Mexican warriors on it. It's another famous design
Mhm.
that's around. And so I went up there and I entered them in the contest. And my most biggest inspirations were on stage judging: Jack Rudy, Tony Olivas, Brian Everett. And I was like, oh my God, like either this is it.
Mhm.
Either they're going to like what I do, or I'm just going to go back to doing, street hustle tattoos. And long and behold, I won
Mm.
that tattoo contest. It was large black and gray, and that set off my career into it getting photographed, and it got photographed, and then it got into a magazine. It just took one time for that to happen, and then next thing you know, bro, I had an interview in Tattoo Magazine, and they did a full spread on me, and this was in 2005, and did a full spread. After that, game over. I got invited to so many places because back then it's like you couldn't just walk into a tattoo convention. Like now you could. Now you can pay like your 800, 900 bucks and go to a tattoo show. But back then you had to be invited to some of these shows, like New York Tattoo Expo, Tony Olivas' show, the Hollywood Palladium show. Like you had to specially, Hal City, you had to specially be invited and picked by these guys because you're talking about the best of the best in the
Mhm.
industry. And so they invited me to their shows, and next thing you know, I was literally sweeping every award. I would take my friends with me. We'd go with like 200 bucks in our pocket, no money,
Yeah.
straight cup of noodles, dude, like poor as crap, barely enough money to get me and him there on the plane ticket, nowhere to sleep sometimes, right? We'd be sleeping in the lobby of the hotel. First day of the show, I would tell them, all right, here's some business cards. Take your shirt off and walk around. Within 1 hour, I would be booked up at every
Wow.
show
Yeah.
and just kill it. And then win all the awards. And that turned into, you know, over, this is by the time I was 29, 28, I was, over 700 international awards and over like 80 magazine publications.
Hmm.
And yeah, that was like this the emphasis of how we shared our tattooing pictures and what it turned into for me in my career.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
So
short version again, by the way.
say you win a couple of these events and whatnot and some of these awards and you're getting,
Yeah,
recognition in these magazines. Are there shops that are, banging on your door like, hey Gus, like we want you here. We've got a spot for you. We've got a,
for sure.
we've got a table for you whenever you're in town. Like we want you here. We can, well, whatever else it may be. Like was that like kind of the seeing grace moment where you're like, okay, this is where I'm gonna take off. I'm not gonna have to worry about somebody picking one of their tattoos off the board. Like they're gonna come with me with an idea. They're gonna entrust me to put the pen to paper from their
Yeah,
mind, and then they're gonna trust me to ink their body with
yeah.
it. Like, is that when it started? Essentially became full circle for you?
For sure. I would say that is the moment that I realized, wow, I made it, so to speak, in the industry, in the tattoo industry. My name was very well known. I could go anywhere and tattoo anywhere. I was being invited to shows, I was being invited to shops. And most importantly, besides that, that was cool. But I would say most importantly, I was able to start focusing on what I love to do as far as my style of tattooing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like during that time frame in that short period is where I developed my style, and developed the black and gray that I do.
Yeah.
And we were a small group of guys that reinvented, so to speak, black and gray tattooing in the Chicano culture, right? Like in his being Hispanic, tattooing at that time, it was really difficult to make an imprint, so to speak, on the industry because everything was, traditional, Americana, like Japanese, and the very few people that did the LA style black and gray was very far and few in between, like Freddie Negretti and Jack Rudy, and it was kind of like very that only that style at the time, and then Paul Booth came along and Tom Renshaw, and they changed black and gray tech, like showed the world that black and gray can be something else. And once we watched them tattoo, we would watch them for hours, and then we developed our own style, and then we did the same thing that they did.
Mm.
And so it was like, wow, like now that I look back, I get called a lot of things in my career, good things, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And
yeah.
people look up to me very, very highly, and I'm very well respected in my industry. And I'm very blessed and grateful for how they see me. But I am blessed and honored to be a part of that group that I guess changed the way that you do a style of tattooing. Because my style, or I should say our style, because we developed it as a group,
Mhm.
um, it really did change the way people do black and gray again.
Yeah.
And it's been a tremendous honor to be a part of that side of tattooing.
Yeah.
Still, till this day, I
Right.
mean, it's a big responsibility, the position that I'm
Mhm.
in tattooing. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that. Yeah, it's
One
crazy,
one last
but
one
that's
last
definitely
question.
where
One last question from your younger days while you were tattooing. Did you ever, like, especially after you started winning some of these awards and events and stuff, did you ever go back home and kind of get pressed from your old friends or from people you knew, like, hey, dude, like, come on, tattoo me, come on, I know, like, come on, dude, tattoo me, like, we'll go back. Like, did you ever get like not mobbed, but like, were people like lining up at your
I
apartment
got
or
you.
at your house, like, dude, come on,
Yeah,
please, like, squeeze me in?
yeah. I mean, yes and no. As obviously as my career grew, I moved
Right.
out of the areas that I grew up in, and
Mm.
I mean, I wanted a better life, and
Hmm.
having children already, I wanted to have a better area for them to grow up. But I always represented where I came from, and in every magazine that I was in, I always let people know where I was from and my background. And the hood, if you want to call it that, always respected me for that.
Okay.
And they also respected me when they wanted tattoos.
Mm.
So when they wanted something, it wasn't like they would hound me. They would just be, hey, dog, if you're ever in town, blah, blah. Or if we meet up, and I was always more than willing to tattoo my family members.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, what I would call my street family all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, some people you distance yourself because that's not a part of your life anymore, but that's a whole nother story. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
but
So
yeah, yeah.
when
I
all
would
this
say
stuff,
more people from high school.
oh really?
Yeah,
That's funny.
especially. I'm gonna jump forward a little bit, but once
Yeah.
my TV show started, oh God, it was ridiculous, dude. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like every other word of, "Hey man, I was your girlfriend," or "Hey man, I'm your friend's cousin." "Hey, I was your best friend." I'm just like, I don't know who you guys are. Like I forgot. I can't remember back that far back. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? That
Oh,
was
it seems like everybody once they make it big, they've got stories of people. Oh, dude, yeah, we took we took eighth grade physics together. You don't remember me? We were in yeah, just something super crazy like that. But
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah, totally.
leading up to the show, like while all this stuff was going on for you in the tattoo industry and the tattoo world, writing magazine articles, getting interviewed and that sort of thing, competing and stuff, did the
Yeah,
fishing ever take like go on the back burner where obviously all your energy was directed to becoming the best in your expertise of the tattoo world? Like, did you ever have to take time to unwind and be like, okay, I'm gonna go fish for a day just to clear my mind, whether you had something coming
for
up
sure.
or was it just kind of on the back burner and you visited it later in life?
No, 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 never. Like I always went fishing. Like at least until the point where I started the show. So up till before then, during my tattoo career part only, I definitely would go. I mean, that's how I would like release, bro. Like, it's like the tension of doing tattoos and the stress of, especially the more successful you become, it's actually more difficult because then their expectations of what you're doing are constantly high and you're
Yep.
constantly having to level up. Constantly. Like you could never have a slack day. I mean, yeah, you have them, but you just can't have them. And so the way that I would release from all that stress of everyday work life, if that's what you want to call it, is going fishing.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, and it was also the only place that I could be alone. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't get bothered if I went to the bar or if I went to a store. Once you become to a certain extent, um, people they seek you out or they know who you are just because of the area you're in. You grow up there, you're tattooing, you're a local, and
Yep.
all the locals know who you are. So everywhere you go, you're getting hooked up, or everybody wants to have a conversation about tattoos. Everyone. Like, oh, you're a tattoo artist? That's it. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, I want to get this. And it's like, you never leave work. It's
Yeah.
like, you're not at work, but you're still talking tattoos. And so
Yeah.
fishing was like the only way I can like ground
Unplug.
myself,
Yeah.
take the shoes off, unplug, touch the sand,
Mhm.
touch the water, hear the birds chirping in the morning.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was always there for me. And it was the only thing that sometimes would keep me from not going off the edge. You know what I'm
Right. Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah.
fishing was definitely that. My whole career for sure.
Did people excuse me, did people in the community as far as like the tattooing like industry, did they know how much you were into fishing? Was that something you ever disclosed or was that just something you kind of kept to yourself, you did in your free time to unwind and stuff and it wasn't necessarily put out there ever very much? Like I assume when you're at a tattooing convention you're talking about tattooing 24/7 like you had just mentioned, you go out to dinner and somebody knows who you are, that's what they're bringing up in conversation. Like was fishing your like little side gig that you and your family knew about and that was kind of the extent of it?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Because I mean, if you would mention fishing to anybody, they'd be like, "Really? You go
Yeah.
fishing?" And I'm
Yeah.
just like, "Yeah, I love it." You know what I mean? Like I go hunting and fishing, and they're like, "Are you sure you're Hispanic?" And I'm just like, "What does that have to do with fishing and hunting?"
Yeah.
And they would just kind of give me like a laugh about it, like you're
Mhm.
going fishing. So then I would never really bring it up
Yeah.
unless one of my friends brought it up. So it was kind of pretty much kept to myself
Mhm.
because anytime you mention fishing, people think you're just sitting there with like a worm and bobber and it's
Yeah, yeah.
boring, and it's like not like that. And but that's the extent of what normal society thinks of fishing
Yeah.
if you're not inside the box with it. And so yeah, I would keep it to myself. And to be honest with you, I enjoyed keeping it to myself, except for my small. It was funny because I had like this massive tattoo family, and then I had this like very small fishing family.
Yeah.
And my fishing family, since we were growing up as kids. I mean, my best buddy Ben, till this day, we've been fishing over 30 years. And so it's just something that has always been something that I
Mm.
run to when I'm feeling stressed or if I want to calm down. And obviously, it's different now that I have an outdoor brand. But I mean, it was something that was always there for me when I needed it, and I never stopped doing it. I
Right.
did for a little bit, which I'll explain in a little bit, but because of work.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, perfect transition into it. So, what year did you get reached out to for the show, for your show, and when, like, how did that set up, and like, what was the expectation? What were the thoughts behind it when you got that letter or email or however they contacted you?
Yeah, it was actually a phone call. Um, like I said, by this time I was a very well-known tattoo artist, and they just reached out to me. I guess Tommy, who's on the show with me, Tommy Helm, he was on a show called Ink Masters, the very, very first one.
Yep.
And Ink Masters, at the time before it aired, they had reached out to me to be on the show Ink Masters. So I was going to be actually a part of the original Ink Masters, the very first show.
Mm.
I did the interview. They just all they did was call me and then, hey man, we're doing the show, and it's a contest. And I was like, a contest? And they're like, yeah, you got to do like these like draw on a cardboard box and design something and freehand like Play-Doh, and like they told me like all these crazy theories. And I was like, oh well, that's easy. I can airbrush, I can graffiti, I can tattoo, I can
Yeah.
use markers, charcoal, I can use every medium known to man.
Mm.
I was like, oh, what do you get out of it? They're like 100 grand. I was like, what the what? 100? I was like, I'm in. Like, I'm down. I don't care what the show's about. I just want to win 100 grand.
Yeah.
Like I was very confident. Because again, having a background with so many different mediums, I was like, dude, I'm in. Let's do it. And so, anyways, I did the interview. I went through the whole process. Got to New York. Got off the plane. They said that I was hired. And when I got there, they're like, some producer or something came to meet me at the airport. He's like, "Oh man, sorry, like we changed our minds. We're gonna go with somebody else." And I was like, "All right, cool." Again, I was already a well-known artist, so
Mm.
it didn't bother me. And I was like, "All right, cool. So do I still have my room for the week? And do I still have my plane ticket back?" They're like, "Yeah, you can stay in your room if you want, and you got your plane ticket." I was like, "Cool." Called a couple homies, made like 5, 6 appointments real quick, made mad money, and stayed for the week. And the guy was like, "Well, we're gonna call you back because they said they want to use you for another show." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, blah blah blah, Hollywood talk."
Yeah.
And so, anyways, I stayed in New York, tattooed, went back home. Sure enough, like a month after Ink Masters aired, I was getting this phone call from an LA area code, and it wouldn't stop calling me. Like it would just nonstop wouldn't stop calling me. At the time, I thought it was my ex lady trying to freaking go psycho on me, and I'm like, I'm not answering this. I'm living my life. I'm single. I'm like, I don't want to hear the drama. And so I had a trip planned to Florida for fishing. We were
Mhm.
going out to the Bahamas to go fishing for wahoo,
Mm.
and then I was going to come back and then go back to New York to do a tattoo convention. So my phone and emails going off the whole time. I'm in the Bahamas, and I get back, and I finally answer the phone, and I'm like, "What the f do you want?" They're like,
Yeah.
"We've been trying to get a hold of you. We really want you to be on this show. Could you please just start answering the emails and blah blah blah." And so I did. I did a Zoom interview like we're doing here, you know what I mean? And like I was at another tattoo convention when they called me back, which was 2 weeks later, or not 2 weeks later, I'm sorry, like 2 months later. I had gone through the process, the interviews. You do it multiple times. So you do like a Zoom thing, then you do an in-person one,
Mm.
and then you do another Zoom one. And then the final one we did was by LAX, and we had to be in a hotel because they had separated everybody for the show for Tattoo Nightmares. It was East Coast and West Coast artists,
Mm.
and each room had over 300 artists in them. And me and Tommy at the time, they had put us in a room all by ourselves. We weren't with them. I was like, I want to hang out with all the tattoo artists because a lot of my friends were there,
Mhm.
and they're like in this big banquet room, and they had us in a small room right across from the banquet. And I'm like, why can't I go hang out over there? And they're like, no, you got to stay in this room. And I'm like, okay. So I was on this side. Tommy was right next door to me. I can tell because I could hear him. And so they would take us upstairs. And what they were doing is they were interviewing us with all the artists that were there one at a time to see which one was fitting our profile the best. At the time, I didn't know that. I came to find out later. So me and Tommy were already chosen for Tattoo Nightmares. I just didn't know I got the job yet.
Mm.
What's funny is after that, I leave to go do this tattoo convention. I don't answer my phone again because I'm busy. I'm tattooing. I'm extremely booked. I'm
Mhm.
traveling. I'm doing my thing. When you get in that mode, you're hustling, bro. You're not at home ever. You're
Yeah.
like on the road. you're in hotel, you're tattooing like 13 hours a day. Boom, next spot, you're doing that. You get on another flight, and same thing again. The producer is trying to call me, trying to call me, trying to call me, and I finally pick up the phone. What do you want? I'm busy. I don't know who this is, and it's the executive producer. Why don't you answer your damn phone? We want you to be on the show, and you need to. And I'm just like, whoa, 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 slow down. So I got the job. She goes, yes, you got the job. We've been trying to call you for over a week. And I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. Like, I thought, like, no big deal of it, you know. Well, you know, when do we start? And she's like, we start on Monday. I need you to have you on the set so that we can do, like, I don't know, like dress and
Mhm.
makeup and all this. I'm like, I'm wearing makeup. But they're like, they got to like dress you and figure out what you're going to wear for the show and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, I can't do that. I'm at a show. She's like, you're at a show. Where are you at? I'm like, I'm on the East Coast. She's like, when is your show over? I'm like, the show ends on Sunday at 5. She's like, someone will be there to pick you up. We have to start filming on Monday, or we start work on Monday.
Mm.
I was like, well, don't you have to send me a contract? She's like, we're going to send you a contract right now. Look it over, you know, send it to a lawyer. So pretty much I got the contract. I sent it to a lawyer, a friend of mine's lawyer. And then sure enough, that Sunday, they like 3 dudes came in this black car with all their stuff. And they're like, these 2 guys are going to pack your stuff. Where do you want it to go? I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, they got boxes, tape, whatever you need packed up. Just tell them what to pack up. They'll make sure that it gets to the location where you're going to be at. Let's just come with us. And I was like, what the? Okay, we got. They're like, you got plane tickets? Like, we got your plane ticket. We got everything that you need. Just come with us. So that's pretty much what happened. Literally from Sunday, did a red eye to Hollywood and landed. Went from the airport straight to getting fitted for the show, and that was the beginning of that journey. And that's how I ended up on Tattoo Nightmares. I
Wow.
was like, what? This is crazy. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think nothing of it, man. You know,
What year was that? What year did it? What year did you guys start recording it, or your first season of recording it?
I can't remember exactly. So I would say 2009 or
Mm.
2010, something
Mm.
like that.
And then,
Around that time. I honestly, bro, I would have to like physically go look
yeah,
to
yeah.
see exactly when. But yeah, so that was around that time, and you know, they told me when they told me, "Hey, we got a show that you want to be on," I didn't believe them. But then when they pitched this new idea to me, I was like, "Okay." I had seen Ink Masters, and I didn't want to do the contest. I didn't want no one telling me how to do my tattoos. I despised Ink Masters after watching it.
Mm.
It put like a bad taste in the tattoo industry. You know,
Mm.
like who's Dave Navarro telling us how to tattoo? First of all, like that ain't happening, bro. He's
Mm.
not even a tattoo artist. Like if you're not a tattoo artist and you're telling us how to tattoo, we're like, F you, because it was
Yeah,
still
yeah.
old school. You know, like tattooing was super old school pirate trade. Like
Mm.
we wouldn't even show you how to use a needle because you get your ass whooped type thing.
Mm.
And so Ink Masters kind of, you know, besides LA Ink at the time, no, not LA Ink. I think it was Miami Ink. I think the show was called. Yeah, Miami Ink at the time. Um, was the only other tattoo show that showed just tattooing, where Ink Masters made it like a contest and you were pressured and I just wasn't about it. And so when they convinced me to do it, they're like, no, you're gonna have your own, you know, you're gonna be in control of your artwork. No one's gonna be pressuring you. I'm like, is there a time limit on the tattoos? Because Ink Masters had a time limit. They're like, no, you take as long as you need. And I was like, all right, what am I gonna be doing? They're like, you'll be doing cover-ups. And I was like, cover-ups? I was like, cover-ups was taboo. Like
Mm.
you would never showcase cover up tattooing back then. Like it was like a no no. Like it was like, I ain't doing no cover up tattoos. And if you did, it was a black crow or a black traditional panther or some black raven or a suitcase or you know like a expired over the old lady's XO name. You know, just stupid things like that. So it was like it wasn't something that was looked up to,
Mm.
and it wasn't something that I was known for, right? I mean, here I am, this black and gray realism Chicano specialist, and they want me to do a cover up thing. I mean, I submitted my cover ups that I did, and obviously it was good enough to get the job, but it was something that was not glorified, so
Mm.
to speak, in the tattoo industry at the time. And so, yeah, so we ended up doing the first season was we filmed 10 episodes, but they only aired 8, and overnight when I mean overnight, it's no joke. Overnight, instant. success.
Yeah.
Like as far as TV world goes, like millions of viewers.
Mm.
The views were insane. I mean, each episode was getting like between 10 and 12 million views for a show that's barely out. They were like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was next. I'm just instantly what you call famous. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And when I mean that word, it's what I mean by that is like you can't go anywhere. Like
Yeah.
literally, you can't go nowhere. They everywhere I would go, it was people knocking on my door or knocking on my car windows. You know, it was crazy, literally overnight.
Right.
And then so from there, filming our second season, we did 36 episodes. Our third season, we did 42 episodes. Like it was insane, bro. It was insane. Yeah, worldwide too. It was it's not something I thought it was just gonna be like, okay, this will be fun. I
Mhm.
can showcase to the world my tattooing. Which, by the way, I was so old school that before I did the show, the people that I admired, I mentioned a couple of them earlier, Jack Rudy and Tony Olivas, God rest. Actually, both of them are now passed away. But I asked out of respect because Ink Masters had put such a bad taste in our mouth. I told them, hey guys, like I got this job they want me to do, and out of respect in the industry, because I grew up in the industry.
Yeah.
I literally grew up in tattooing, old school from day one. And besides the tattooing in the streets, and so out of respect, I told them like, hey man, I'm gonna do this TV tattoo show. Are you guys cool with that? And they were like, well, if not, if one of us doesn't show them what true tattooing is, no one will ever know what it is. And they gave me their blessing, and that's the reason why I decided to do it. And again, that's just me respecting my trade, and respecting those that came before me. I thought I'd mention that because that was a very key, vital point in
Yeah.
my life to making that big, big decision in my life that made me go into that section of the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, crazy, bro. Red carpets, Kevin Hart, The Rock, Angelina Jolie. I mean, I've done it all, bro. It's
Yeah.
it's it's wild. It's
Right.
wild.
And I assume while you're
Some
doing all
ghetto
that,
kid
you
from
just
LA.
yeah, yeah. You had just mentioned the three seasons, the first three seasons, 10, 20 some, and then 30 some, like all in the course of, I assume, a short amount of time. Did that that had to take up a lot of your time. A lot of your free time was probably maybe not so much free time as you'd had beforehand. So is that when you were talking about that you kind of
Right?
maybe not necessarily stepped back, but you had to take a break just because of everything else that was going on in your life revolving around the tattooing world?
For sure. As far as fishing goes, I mean, I stopped everything. Like I stopped fishing. Um, I did MMA for 7 years, so I stopped doing that. And I did, I got heavily into hunting. I stopped doing that. Just all my hobbies that I was passionate about just completely stopped because tattooing takes up a lot of time, but I still had my own schedule.
Mm.
But when it comes to TV, the first season wasn't too bad because it was only for a month and a half. But then after that, it was like, 6 months, 7 months, a year. And we did that for quite a few years. So that took up so much time that I didn't have time to go fishing. And the little bit of time that I did have, I would go see my kid. At the time, I had my daughter, and so uh, I would spend whatever time that I had with her when I had possible. And
Right.
so between that and TV and then tattooing my clients because I built such a big reputation, I mean, it was fishing didn't stand a chance. I mean, it got to the point where my best friend Ben thought that I went to prison. And I was like, bro, like, I mean, I'm pretty sure they told you I was on television. They're like, yeah, man, but being on TV is not all the time, so we thought you were busted. I was like,
That's funny. Was
so
uh
yeah,
was there ever a moment in time where you were halfway through the third season, doing 30 some episodes, over the course of 6 months where, month four just hits and you're getting ready to drive into the set one day and you're just like I am just beyond burnt out of this like a daily routine essentially. Like, did it ever become where
for sure.
tattooing was fun, but tattooing on camera, explaining yourself, doing these little headshot interviews for the show? Like, was that ever a point in time where you're like I don't know, like I just want to go back to my roots and sit in a shop and have customers come in and set up appointments that way?
I mean, you hit it nail on the head. Like it literally became that, to the point where, towards the later seasons, we would have nervous breakdowns filming, like legit
Yeah.
nervous breakdowns. I mean, you're trapped filming 17 hours a day, 6 days a week for that period of time. You're away from your family. You don't see nobody. You're on a schedule, and you're committed to it because of the art and the tattooing. We're not just going to do whatever.
Hmm.
So we wanted to do the best that we could, even though we were filming. I didn't care that we were filming. I just cared that we did a good job of tattooing on television.
Hmm.
But it just, the pressure of that, plus the filming and the long hours of no sleep, and we would film all day, do a cover up all day, and then we'd be done wrapping up film at like sometimes 12 or 1 in the morning, and we'd have to be right back at filming at 7:30. It was crazy, man, and there wasn't no stopping because you're on a budget, you're on a schedule, and all
Hmm.
this other stuff. And so yeah, dude, we literally would lose it. Like each one, it would either be like Tommy first or Jasmine, and then me. Like each one of us, we would have like these breakdowns where you just want to go back to like being normal. I
Yeah,
guess
yeah.
that's what you want to call it. Like normal life. And what's interesting is like people think that fame is something that's like glory, like glorified, which I ain't gonna lie. I mean, it's fun, right? You get to go to the place for free. You get stuff for free. You can go to any clubs you want in for free. You can go to the Empire State Building on a private tour. I mean, it was endless of cool stuff that you get. At the same time, though, you have no life as far as personal life
Hmm.
because you don't have a personal life anymore, right? You are constantly being watched. You're constantly being looked at. By this time, there's social media now. There's TMZ,
Hmm.
which I ended up on a few times for bad things. But I mean, there's just like these so many outlets, and people expect you to be that way all the time.
Yep.
They don't know that you're tired. They don't know that you miss your children. They don't know that you just want to go fishing, and you're trying to like run through the airport with a hoodie and sunglasses on. I mean, it almost does like the opposite effect of making you introvert
Hmm.
because you just want to be left alone. And the only thing I would do is I would go to the movies late night because nobody would be there and I'd be all by myself.
Man, that's
So
crazy.
it's crazy, man. It is crazy, and to think that that was a part of my life, and even till this day, because the show still airs now, um, it's not as bad as it used to be, but it's still there. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
um, it's interesting to be able to. The best part is I'm able to spin a world map. I tell people close my eyes and go like that, and I have the blessing of being able to whatever it lands on, whatever country it does. I blindfolded. I could just pick a spot, and I can go there and tattoo, and they'll know who I am,
Mm.
and they'll know my artwork, and they'll know my background. And to me, that's the greatest blessing I got out of that
Mhm.
was the world got to see the artwork and how passionate I was about my style of tattooing, and it's been awesome as far as that part goes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
When you decided it was your time to be done with the show or however it ended, were you like just beyond stoked to be able to go home, see the family essentially, maybe not every single night, but a couple times a week. You're not traveling, you're not, I assume, living out of a hotel in LA to try to film
yeah,
these episodes and stuff. Like you kind of got to tap into maybe not necessarily where you were like when you were younger, that 20 years old, but you kind of got to be a homebody
right,
again. Was that like just a sigh of relief
right,
and just like
yeah,
reinventing yourself? Like, oh my gosh, I get to sleep in my own bed a couple times
most
a
definitely,
week. Like it's a blessing.
yeah,
I assume that's probably what you thought.
yeah. That's exactly what it was like. It was I got to go home. It was like being at war for
Yeah.
like 5 6 years, and I
Mm.
finally come home. And during the process, she's my ex-wife now, but at the time I had gotten married, started a family, so it was nice that I was able to finally like focus on just them, open up a shop, but finally put my roots down
Mm.
and start the American dream, so to speak,
Yeah.
at that time. And so yeah, it was nice. I went immediately back to full-time fishing, and all my buddies were like, "It's about time," and I'm
Yeah.
like, "I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I've just been busy filming the show," and they were all proud of me. And
Hmm.
they were just, and the best part about it is like my buddies, especially my fishing family. I came back a celebrity, right? I mean, aside from being a tattoo artist celebrity, because there's a difference, as opposed to like a TV celebrity, there's a massive difference.
Right, right.
And people treat you differently, and they you don't know what people want out of you. It's weird. It's like it goes to a point where, like, at least in the tattoo celebrity scene, I people wanted me because I was just good at tattooing, and that was it, and they wanted to get tattooed by me. But once you become a television star, so to speak,
Yeah.
people just want to do weird things. Like they want to, you know, from everything from just wanting to have you in their home privately to with girls to random weird things that people offer. It's just you never know what people want out of you
Mm.
genuinely.
Hmm.
And I think with that, the fishing scene, my friends welcomed me back. They didn't care that I was famous. They
Yeah.
didn't care that I was on television. They were just stoked that their friend is back and we're going to go catch fish.
Hmm.
And so I think that's where like I embrace fishing hardcore again. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like really, like, oh, I'm home. Like they welcomed me back, and we
Hmm.
went on the boats and went straight to hooking up big fish, and you know, it was like I never left.
Yeah.
And fishing has always done that for me. Always, always.
Mm-hmm.
So it was cool, man. It was definitely a welcoming home thing for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. After so many years away from the fishing world, fishing scene, was it probably not a culture shock, but was it wild to see how much stuff had changed, what the new stuff was? Was it just interesting to see how much the industry had, I would assume, grew while you were away?
Most definitely, most definitely. I would say, um, in particular, the scene of bass fishing changed dramatically.
Mm.
Um, Bass fishing mostly because it had become like more mainstream.
Hmm.
Like Bassmasters, MLF
Yeah.
had like started taking off, and so people were being introduced to more of like that tournament scene, which Bassmasters did a good job of it. But I think social media had a massive impact on bass fishing
Hmm.
because you were now able to see it on so many platforms, and
Yeah.
it wasn't looked at like as a boring sport anymore.
Hmm.
Fishing in general overall wasn't looked at as it was boring anymore. It was like kind of like the cool thing to do
Yeah.
type of a thing. Um, Not as much as it was like during COVID. I think during COVID is when fishing really took off,
Hmm.
and when things really, really changed. Because you went from you know, your traditional fishing styles to your more um, uh, let's just go into the big bait world since everybody knows me for Swimbait Culture. Let's just go there. We went from Butch Brown's depths, thumper tails, the cast stake baits that I fished for before all this stuff happened at the lakes, and throwing them on ugly sticks, and you went to more sophisticated style baits like the Depths 250.
Hmm.
Depths 250 came out with other baits, and then you started to see custom guys. And I think, you know, for me, when I came back, I was working heavily with Savage Gear USA, and I helped Mike design. Mike was in charge of designing swim baits for Savage Gear before they even had glide baits. Like they didn't even know what they were.
Hmm.
And so he asked me to come on board and test these baits. Um, this was way before COVID, too, by the way. And this is I'm testing these new big baits out, and it intrigued me, right? Because I went from like fishing these massive puds that I get at Castaic that you would buy off of someone here and there, or the Depths 250s that you would see on Facebook, on the sites on Facebook, on the groups, and then that's all I had. I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I remember the Matt lures. I still have one. I don't have it here. I haven't put it away, but I have one of the OG Matt lures like this that my friend Mark gave me. And I remember throwing those on big old surf rods. Like
Yeah.
we would use surf rods, like the big, because they were so heavy, you
Hmm.
couldn't throw them on anything else. It would snap. Or an ugly stick, which was the first bait I ever threw was on an ugly stick, which was the stupidest thing ever because it would have bend completely over and then swing shot it out. And it was a HUD. And, anyways, so working with Mike at Savage Gear, I got reintroduced to big baits, and we started fishing them. I became a part of the team. I became a part of the helping the design and color concepts with Mikey, And that intrigued me to go into it more, and I got more in depth into it. And I started noticing, like, oh, there's more custom guys now than there used to be.
Mm.
And then that's how I heard about Piz. Piz painted
Mm.
crankbaits back at the time for some bass guys that fish tournaments that we knew, but you only knew him as a crankbait painting guy back then. And then I heard his name again, and it sounded familiar, but I didn't put one and two together. Then I heard Toxic, right? And
Mm.
then I heard Black Dog, and I started being like, these are other big baits. Let's see what they're all about. And it just intrigued me, and it showed me a subculture that I've never seen before in bass fishing. It was very unique to tattooing. And it was a very, very, very small group. I mean, before it was only, the Facebook groups on Facebook, and
Mm.
everybody would argue about who did what, and
Yeah.
the OGs would yell at everybody, and you could only get like maybe four baits possible at that time,
Yeah.
like in the whole world. And the only ones throwing them, we were in SoCal, and everybody was throwing them at Castaic or down in Paris,
Mm.
or like Matt, Triple Trout Lures, him and Wit. They were throwing stuff down south, and just things that you couldn't get. And it was very rare and in between. And it was very like hidden,
Yeah.
hidden subculture.
Mm.
Like even when I was working with Mike, it wasn't as big, not even close to being as big as it is now.
Mm.
And it was very, very, very grouped up,
Yeah.
so to speak, in the SoCal scene for a
Yeah.
long, long time, to the point where we would not even talk about
Mm.
what we were catching our fish on, because we didn't want no one to know
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
we were using out there. We definitely didn't want no one looking at the colors, or where did we get it, or how did we get it out of the back of this guy's trunk, or
Yeah.
finding like a depth 250 at Paris one day floating around, and you're like, you just I don't know, man. It was different. I think it intrigued me because it was like tattooing. Like
Yeah.
we wouldn't tell our secrets in tattooing
Mm.
ever.
Mm.
Like, and if you did, you had to be a part of this circle. And big baits was the same way. Bass fishing was the same way, and
Yeah.
that goes for conventional fishing too. I mean, there's conventional stuff that I was using when we were younger too. When I came back to fishing, that we wouldn't tell nobody.
Mm.
Like the chatterbaits and like the certain style uh, jigs that we were making. We wouldn't show no one. This is
Yeah.
before they went big. I mean, it's just one of those things that bass fishing was very similar to tattooing as far as secrets go.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's what I noticed a lot about bass fishing when I came back, that it had to become like this like very small subculture,
Mm.
like this little like hidden thing that you could catch these giants. And the only way that you knew these giants were being caught is because somebody knew somebody that knew somebody that would send them pictures,
Mm.
and then they would send you baits and stuff like that. And Mikey was like my hub for that.
Mm.
Mike Bennett, I call him Mikey. Mike was like my source to that world,
Yeah.
right? Like Mike would be like, dude, check this out. He caught these on triple trouts. And we go test out these baits. And I'd be like, what the, bro, those are giants. He's catching them all. What?
Mm-hmm.
And they would send us baits, and we'd go fish them and stuff. And they knew, they would send Mike baits because they knew that Mike was into building baits for like big companies and stuff like that. And so they wanted like his input. Mark Rogers is another massive, huge part of the big bait scene that people don't know about. I mean, you're talking about a guy who fished one trout lure for over 2 years at Castaic, dedicated. He worked those saltwater boats.
Yeah.
Go to Castaic, fish one lake because he wanted to catch the world record. He did that for a whole year, nonstop. He'd work the saltwater boats, go to the lake, stay there, go right back to, and that's all he did. And he does that now for trout fishing, but that's how dedicated he was with one wooden trout bait, just dedicated to catching giants.
Mm.
And you're talking about at that time it was only like Butch and Mark and Mike, Whit. Not too many people know Whit was catching giants at Irvine Lake. Which was the inventor of what now people know as the Odie rat. Whit was the original inventor of the Odie rat. And they were fishing that rat at Irvine Lake, just kept smashing 10-pounders, dude. And just SoCal at its best when trout lakes were getting stopped. I mean, we would catch 10-pound bass when we were kids on worms and like plastic worms, and we didn't think nothing of it. I mean, we'd be at MacArthur Park or these little LA parks because they would fill them with trout. Dude, I'm not shitting you. We would catch 10-pound, 8-pound bass on worms, and at the time we hated them. We would catch them on these. We would catch them on like bugs or whatever we could get them on. Mostly we would use plastic worms, but we would catch these bass and we would get mad catching those giant bass because they would be eating the trout that we were trying to catch.
Mm.
So we would catch these giant bass. Sorry, I'm on the middle of my patio, so you'll hear some fire engines go by. But I'm not getting arrested. I promise. That's not my life anymore. So yeah. So anyways, we would catch these bass, and at the time we honestly didn't think that it was that big of a deal. We were more interested in catching trout at the local parks than we were
Yeah.
bass back then. You know. But that's SoCal at its best, man.
Yeah. Man, that's
It's
so
SoCal at its best.
wild to hear. Would you say that that COVID, maybe even a little bit before COVID blew up the swim bait world, kind of like tattoo, like I would assume Tattoo Nightmares, when that, like you had said, started and there was so many people watching it and it kind of got so popular and stuff. Would you say COVID
Yeah.
is kind of similar to what happened like with the swim bait world and like the whole fishing world, in general? Like it just, this one thing happened, whether it was the TV show or it was the lockdowns and stuff, and then a couple months later, everybody's talking about tattoos, everybody's talking about Tattoo Nightmares, and everybody's talking about swim baits during COVID. Like, could you see some similarities between
Right.
those two when they both blew up at their respected times?
Most definitely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, most definitely. I mean, it's you got to think of a time when we got locked down we couldn't go nowhere in the world, right?
Mhm.
And the combination of being locked down, you can't go nowhere. Most places you couldn't go nowhere. California, it was like communist nation. Like we were locked in, bro. We couldn't
Yeah.
go nowhere. And the only places we could go were state parks, and there was no parking lots available. And if you went in, you had to ride your bikes in or hike in. And a combination of that and social media, I think, is what set off the big bait world. Because now you had situations where people had more time to put time in on these things that they've never used,
Yeah.
right? People would buy these Depths 250s, and if you did use them, you wouldn't speak about them.
Mhm.
And now with social media, Swimbait Universe coming into the scene way before this, but you know, you got Swimbait Universe, Swimbait Freaks, and all the other groups that I won't mention all their names, but you have this massive influx of online presence, and so now you have Swimbait the South going on. This is way before COVID, and Swimbait the South, I said, was the beginning of the big bait scene spreading throughout the nation, right?
Yeah.
Because now you got these guys on the East Coast catching these giants on big baits that were being only made by guys in Southern California, but they're fishing them out on the East Coast and they're catching giants, and then they make this video, and everyone's like, What is that?"
Yeah.
And that spreads, and then that spread to what was the other one from SoCal with Big Bait Bailey and all those guys?
Oh, Swim Bait Posse, the Western Shootout or whatever it was called.
Swimbait Posse, Swimbait Posse Shootout. So between that and the Swimbait the South video, that I feel was the initial introduction to people being like, "Whoa, what is this?"
Yeah.
Right? Matt, the AC plugs got big. The Huddlestons were already big in the tournament scene. Most people didn't know that. And the Depths 250s were big in SoCal, like for the locals. Like
Mm.
we would go to like Bassett. They would have like these small little things at Anglers Marine
Yep.
in a small little shop in Southern California, and they would have these little pop-ups where they would show up and Butch would sell the Depths and we would get them. And so it was like, I feel that those two videos with the introduction of social media and then COVID, that was it.
Mm.
Toxic Caesar was in the scene for a while back then. Caesar was one of the very few first guys that I was fishing like his wake that was a very productive bait. And Piz and Black Dog, I say Black Dog was a massive influence on the big bait scene. The shell crackers and
Mhm.
obviously the infamous topwater. You
Yeah.
can't, there's nothing better than an OG plunker,
Yep.
and that's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And so I feel that social media and people finally showcasing that they're
Mhm.
catching fish of that caliber on big baits is what really took off. And COVID just enhanced it times a million. Like next you know, you got these small groups of guys, and now these small groups of guys are showcasing their stuff
Mhm.
online. And some guys went out of the box and started making videos,
Yeah, yeah,
and then that was it. Like
yep,
cat's out of the bag, everyone's intrigued,
yeah,
and now you're sitting at home during COVID, and you're like, that lure is the size of a fish, and he's catching a giant, and
yeah.
you're just a conventional guy, and you're like, I've never seen a bass that big. You know, it started the whole domino
Mm.
effect. Um, and so between those videos, COVID, social media, Caesar had a big part of it, I believe, as well, from doing Toxic Day.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And people doing events like that. And just little by little, it just turned into a subculture that grew online. And I think anything, again, that's made with your hands and it's created with hands, there's something just unique about that. There's just something so special about making something with your hands that people find, you know, amazing that you can make something and catch something that's alive with it.
Hmm.
And so that combined with all the other things I just spoke about is what started this phenomenon in the swim bait world, big
Right.
bait world,
Yeah, yeah.
if you want to be specific.
Right.
Yeah.
When did you
So,
start Swimbait Culture, and how did you get around to doing that?
well, so like I said, swim bait culture. Uh, well, let's just go back. So officially, I started fishing. I had my channel that I talked about earlier, and I was catching fish and showcasing my videos, and it took off. And working with Savage Gear, and then Mike introduced me to Caesar's baits. And then during officially, when I was making these videos, I went to Toxic Day, the very, very first one. And I told my best friend Ben, I said, "Hey Ben, we've been catching a lot of fish on these baits. You know, I think at the time we were catching a lot on Savage Gear because we were testing a lot of them. We were smashing them on the Savage Gear glides, like just nonstop catching them on those stupid little Savage Gear glides that we designed." And I said, "You want to go to this like custom big bait uh, event that they're throwing up north? Talks today at the same time we fish the Delta." He's like, "We're gonna fish the Delta? Let's go." That's the only thing that convinced him.
Yeah.
He's like, "We're gonna fish the river, Delta River." He's like, "Yep." He's like, "I'm in." So we go up to the Delta. I had already made friends online. I mean, I again, a lot of my friends at this time, we're all old school dudes. We're
Mm.
not younger guys. We're all older guys, and we all know each other from fishing long time ago. All the back lakes. Nothing from like online meeting yet.
Mhm.
You know, very few, not many. And so we go to Toxic Day, and Caesar's up there. Great event. It went off the hook. He let me take fish lead up there. I took my tent and showed off my videos, and I met a couple people that knew what was going on with my scene that I was doing myself personally. And of course, you know, Tattoo Nightmares. Everybody was like, "Oh shit, what's up, Gus? You know, I didn't know you were a fisherman." Like that was all I heard all weekend. "Dude, you're a fisherman?" I was like, "Yeah, I love fishing. I love big baits." And I would tell my stories and give my background. And they're like, "Holy shit, dude, you've been doing this a long time." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." And then I would show them like, you know, fish that I've caught on big baits, and everyone's freaking out. Anyways, Caesar's up there. The show's about to end, and he's, you know, Caesar would do like this like little talk and tell everyone thank you for coming and blah blah
Mhm.
blah. So he's up there doing his speech, and me and Ben and a bunch of the homies are there, and he's telling his story. He goes, "You know what? This isn't just like about big baits. This is a family. This is a swim bait culture." And instantly, you got to remember at this time already, I have already been designing logos for big brands. I've helped companies. This is, you know, I didn't speak about it, but I'm logo brand driven. I've helped create and some of the biggest sellers in T-shirts in the world at
Mhm.
this time, and logos that you would recognize if I showed them to you.
Mhm.
And so for me, brand building and working with T-shirt companies is something I had already been working with for many, many, many
Yeah.
years. I mean, it's part of my background. And so when he said swim bait culture, this is a swim bait culture. I was like, you know, like those cartoons, like when a light bulb goes
Yeah,
off on
yeah,
the
yeah.
top of the head and it just goes, "Ding." I shit you not, man. This is a true story, and I tell it all the time. I didn't even finish hearing what Caesar had to say. I instantly got on my phone and I typed in Swimbait Culture and I looked up the LLC, the website, anything that was affiliated with that name, and there was nothing affiliated with the name Swimbait Culture. And I was like, it just sounded like it sounded, it just it just caught my attention.
Mm-hmm.
So right then and then, dude, I bought the LLC, the GoDaddy domains. I bought everything that I needed. I didn't think nothing of it. I put the phone away and I went back to having fun with everyone, right? And so that's literally how Swimbait Culture started.
That's
I
cool.
was listening to Caesar talk, have a speech about big baits and how cool it was that we were all gathered and we're all catching these big fish and how the industry has grown to a point where we can have these gatherings and have all these different people making different baits and you had people that didn't get along with other people and they were getting along and just it was just a really dope vibe.
Mhm.
Toxic Day One. It was a very special event. If you were there, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, Caesar's an amazing dude, super genuine, down to earth. Um, I just like people. I just like people with vibes that are down to earth, even though they're good at something.
Mhm.
Not like the Las Vegas signs, like "Hey, look at me" thing. I've
Yeah,
never
yeah.
been that way. Even for me myself with the show, I would never have like pictures of myself on my banners and "Hey, I'm the TV star." Like I never did that. I would always get shit for it, but it's just not me. And the people that know who I am, they know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
And so, um, anyway, swimming culture started like that.
That's so
Literally,
cool.
just by Caesar having this speech and talking about, hey, we're a swimming culture, and it just clicked, and that was it, man. And I've always wanted to. I've worked with so many dope brands, right? I mean, Solon Clothing being number one. I've been with Solon Clothing, which is now the world's number one tattoo art driven brand in the world.
Wow.
Period.
Yeah.
I've been with them since it started. I created some of them. I helped create some of the designs that made the company go international. Blah blah blah. But I learned so much. I learned how to work with Coca-Cola marketing groups,
Mhm.
Google marketing research, developing brand colors, how color branding affects our brains, how we relate to objects.
Mhm.
I learned so much from working with these brands that I've never had the chance to make my own brand. I've always helped people,
Grow there.
design these cool things for these brands, and they make these millions and millions of dollars. And I've seen my artwork on like massive billboards at like concerts,
Mhm.
dude. Fieldy from Korn. I designed a shirt for his tour. Like just cool, the coolest things I could ever imagine as a ghetto kid from LA. But never did I think I want to create my own brand. And because I saw how much hard work it took,
Mhm.
working with Ryan, the owner of Solon, and Jeremy, I saw the actual work that it takes to create a brand. And then not only that, but learning from like Hurley, family, Travis Barker's group at the time, and all these dope Metal Militia, and you name it, bro. Like we've worked with them. To see the amount of work it takes to actually create a brand was insane,
Mhm.
right? Because of the thought process that goes into it, the everything from the t-shirt designing to the fabric to the colors. I can go on for I can give you a week seminar on brand making. But anyways, I finally decided to do it myself. And I think I was finally at a stage in my life where I was very successful in my career in tattooing.
Mhm.
I wasn't on a TV show, so I wasn't pressured. And I had time during COVID because it was invented during COVID. So
Yeah.
swim culture was made during COVID again. And it gave me the time. I was still tattooing during COVID by the time like we would border up our windows and cover everything up and we'd tattoo and shit. But I had plenty of time because not everybody was getting tattooed. People were freaked out. So I had time to build this brand. And what are the two things that I love the most, dude? Tattooing and fishing.
Mhm.
And I was like, I've never, ever seen a brand that involved both of those things
Mhm.
together. I mean, you had your stuff like Bassaholics and
Yeah.
stuff like that back then. But, those were still like very like cliche bass driven.
Mhm.
They were very like what I call vector art, very logo, stylized stuff.
Mhm.
Not like tattooing art is very freehand.
Yeah.
There is no vectoring on a computer and perfect crisp circles and lines and all this stuff, right? So I'm like, I'm going to combine the world of tattooing with fishing. And that's pretty much what Swimbait Culture started as,
Mhm.
was that. Like, that was my goal, was to introduce these two worlds together and bring them together and create something super cool that that I would hope that people would like to wear my age group,
Yeah.
not younger, not older, my age group, right? Because I'm targeting like my base now. Why? Because I know that we got jobs, most of us. Most of us buying baits at this time, we got jobs. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Most of us, especially when you're buying like expensive baits. So I'm thinking to myself, as a high-end tattoo artist, something not high-end clothing brand, but high-end as far as like the thought process behind the clothing.
Mm.
Like meaning the way that you think of my art is what I want you to think of it as a high-end dope clothing shirt
Mhm.
of a fishing shirt. It's not like a 10.99 Bass Pro Shops, little bass jumping out of a
Yeah.
lake shirt. No, this is like holy crap, like that I would get that tattooed on me
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the shirt.
Yep.
See what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And so and that's what my brand is. It's literally like I mean, if people get my designs tattooed on them all the time, whether it's in the tattoo industry, clothing line, or now Swimbait Culture brand clothing line. And so I created Swimbait Culture to do that, and it was very interesting because COVID made you very isolated,
Mm.
and it gave you a lot of time to think about what you want to do. But with Swimbait Culture, I didn't really do that. I just was like, it was like tattooing. It just came natural.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm gonna design this like bass, all crazy with a big bait out of his mouth, and I did it for BABC. They had an event going on,
Yep.
and I had designed it for that. And I said, you can use it. I did a design that I did for a clothing thing, and you can use it for your flyer. And he ended up doing it, and it took off, and people
Mm.
loved it. And at the time, I actually did that for Officially, not Swimming Culture,
Mm.
and that's what is now known as Grumpy Bass in our brand.
Mm.
And so, um, it wasn't something that I forced
Yeah.
creating Swimbait Culture. I just had fun with it. And I didn't want no one to know I owned it. Like nobody knew that I owned it. Like
Mm.
I didn't the reason I didn't want no one to know that I owned it when I started it during COVID was uh, I'm a firm believer that things that are great are done organically. They
Yeah.
grow naturally. They're not forced on you, right? It's like someone forcing religion on you. You're not gonna accept that as easily as you just naturally have it, right?
Mm.
Or your view of fishing. Like if you have like you want to go if you want to be a bass fisherman, if somebody forces bass fishing, it's not going to be the same as you just naturally going into it. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And so, Swimbait Culture, that's what I wanted to do. The only people that knew I owned it was Caesar, Piz, and Universe, my boy Wayne, and at the time, this other group that I wanted to work with that we ended up not working with, but um, I just wanted them to know who I was because I wanted them to know that I'm respecting what they're doing, but I don't want to do what they're doing.
Right.
I didn't want to do what this forum group, this group over here does forums or whatever,
Hmm.
contests. Universe does like a platform online and it's a group and blah. I'm like, bro, I don't want that and I don't want that. I'm just a cool ass dude who loves tattooing and I love artwork and I'm very blessed that they knew who I was
Hmm.
because they knew who I was from tattooing. They
Yep.
knew that they watched the show and they're like, dude, they were just stoked that I was a fisherman and I was throwing big baits and they just wanted to work with me.
Yeah.
And um, and and I did that for a while. I think I had like up to I don't know. I want to say like 8,000 followers or something like that before people finally started realizing who I was.
Mm.
And then that's when I really showcased who I was when I did Swim Baits for Autism.
Hmm.
And I've been raising awareness for autism since I was young, man, for going on 19 years now. And I would do it in the tattoo scene. I would do like art galleries with friends, and we would raise money,
Oh, that's
and they
cool.
would go to these charity donations to send
Yeah.
them to. And we did that with art, and we would do custom artwork, and we would have gallery shows, and we would sell out, and all the money went to the kids, right? And I've been doing that for going on 19 years.
Wow.
But when COVID hit, we couldn't do that anymore.
Hmm.
We couldn't do the art shows anymore because we weren't allowed to have tight public spacings, and we
Yeah.
had to we couldn't hang out in groups. So all that was out the door.
Mm.
So I'm like, well, I still want to help the kids out. So how do I continue to do that? Well, I'm starting to notice I'm getting a big following on Swimbait Culture. Um, I feel that the following that we came is because on Swimbait Culture, we promoted everything. We didn't just promote like specific people. I would just search for like cool stuff because I would just wanted to see like if it looked cool, like Marlin Bates, for example, I wanted to showcase it because I
Right.
thought it was cool. And so Swimbait Culture kind of became like this hub of like not one-sided on either group side.
Mhm.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? Because, like I said, this industry is like that, and we all know that.
Yeah.
And so I created this platform where everybody was welcomed, and I grew this following. And so I said, hey, I threw the idea to a couple friends, and they're like, dude, that's a great idea. And then I hit up a couple homies I had made friends with. Brian is a good example, Boulder Creek, right? He, when he invented his bait, short story, it was at Toxic Day. This was before we went. I don't remember if it was the second one or third one. I don't remember which one it was, but we were friends already. We met at Toxic Day, and I gave him a bunch of free shirts the night before. He was like this cool rad like surfer dude, and we became friends instantly, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward a couple years, he designs the Boulder Crawl,
Hmm.
and this is just one of many stories that I've done throughout Swimbait Culture. But it's just to give you an example of what the brand is like. Brian comes up to me. He's like, "Hey man, I got this new bait that came out, and it's a boulder crawl." And he showed it to me. I'm like, bro, that's insane. Like, no one's done it. No one's ever done anything like that.
Yeah.
Like the way that he designed the crawl, he made it into a swimmer. I was like, bro, that is sick. He's like, do you think it'll be a good idea if I sell it at Toxic Day? I'm like, yeah, you can use my table. Bring them.
Hmm.
So he comes to the Toxic Day. Nobody knows anything about it. He puts them on the table, and we helped showcase his baits and promoted it.
Mm.
And that's like a short version
Yeah. Yeah.
of the way I want Swimbait Culture to be and the brand that it is. It's a way of like introducing you into the scene in a way where it doesn't matter who you are. We just want you to do some dope stuff and showcase it and let everyone enjoy it.
Mhm.
And so that was literally the birth of Swimbait Culture and it growing. I'm just giving you little hints of how
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
brand got to where it is.
Yeah.
Autism took it to another level.
Hmm.
Swimbaits for Autism took it to another level. By this time, I had made many, many friends online through Swimbait, mostly through Swimbait Universe. And Swimbait Universe was the only, I will honestly say, the reason that you see my brand work so closely, or the way that we work so closely with each other, is because Wayne and the guys were the only ones that accepted me coming into this scene because I understood the scene. I got it. Coming from the tattoo world, I got it that I wasn't so-called, welcome so much over here or welcome so much over there because of what I was trying to do. And I was cool with that, and it didn't bother me. And I just moved on. And with Solon Clothing, the biggest tattoo brand, the way that it works is we design a t-shirt with another artist and we cross promote it and we promote it together
Hmm.
to each other's core group of people. And I wanted Swimbait Culture to do the same. If I collaborate with you, I'm not doing it just for me. I want to do it so that we can collaborate, so that we can showcase your group, my group, showcase that we're working together. It's like that's the whole point of like my shop's name is, Solid Art Collective is the name of the brand. They're like my family. I've been with them forever. And my tattoo shop name is Ink Collective Gallery.
Mm.
And collective being the main word, meaning you cannot do what you're doing without a core group of people to make it happen. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Just like your podcast. Your podcast wouldn't be who it is without the people you have on there.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
help you showcase your voice. Obviously, you're the dude, but the people is what, just like the baits on Swimbait Culture, is what people seek out.
Hmm.
They want to see the advice. They want to hear the advice. The videos you do, blah, blah, blah. And so with Swimbait Culture, it kind of did that. And the autism thing, the first one, I asked everybody that I had met, and I did it, and it was a great success for being an online thing. And I've never done an online thing, and I'm old school, so I want it to be like, I want to go old school, like raffle.
Yeah.
Like if you're
Yeah.
at someone's freaking, like the old bingo things.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think being in the tattoo world, I mean, being in the TV scene, I noticed that for whatever reason, people like to watch me, whether it's on social media or on TV. Everyone says, you're just charismatic or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. I don't see myself that way, but whatever. Here I am,
Yeah.
right? And if I'm using it for the benefit of good to help kids, then
Mhm.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm going to make it a raffle. I invited all these guys. They 100% supported me. I did it online. And I did with social media, it's great because you're able to showcase it to the world. And that was it, dude. Once I did Swimbaits for Autism, you know, when you help someone without the intention of wanting something out of it, like if you're truly doing it, like if you're really doing something to help someone without benefiting you whatsoever, it's going to blow up.
Yeah.
Because why? Because people can see how genuine it is. Point blank. That's the way it works, right?
Mhm.
That's the way any great group or foundation or fundraising goes. If it's like the swim baits for Texas thing,
Yeah.
how it just naturally became a good thing
Yep.
because it's a good thing. It wasn't forced. Blah blah blah. So the autism did that. After that, we grew, bro, tremendously, and more people wanted to work with us. The next thing you know, we're getting an influx of direct messages and hey, I want to send you this bait. Can you test it out and blah blah. And then now, you know, swimming culture is it's a monster. It's a full on time job. That's a brand. It's
Yeah.
I never thought that I would create a brand that was as successful as it is because another thing I get asked all the time is brands. How do you create a brand? How do you make it work? How does it work? How do you make money? Again, like I was telling you earlier, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and it growing organically through the autism events, through working with people personally,
Yeah.
going to the Swimbait Universe gathering. That was a big help for me. I didn't want to just talk to people online.
Yeah.
I wanted to go meet all these people that were donating baits to me.
Hmm.
I felt out of respect that I need to go and personally meet every single one of these guys, shake their hands, and tell them thank you, bro. That again was another milestone in Swimbait culture because they saw that I traveled all the way to the East Coast,
Yeah.
introduced myself, became friends with all, and then it just turned into a domino effect. And I work with amazing people all the time now, and I get good and bad a lot of information sent my way because of our brand.
Hmm.
And the brand is 100%. It's just an organically made brand
Yeah.
from doing good things like swim baits for autism, from helping other people grow, from helping people like Brian showcase their baits and nobody knew who they are and all this
Hmm.
stuff. And just my whole goal is to help.
Yeah.
And it's always been to help with artwork. And a lot of the people that work with me, they know that's how I am,
Hmm.
and it's like if I want to help design something for you, like working with some brands, if I'm designing something like let's say for you, hey dude, I'm gonna design you something. I don't want your money. I don't need it. I don't need this or that. If I'm asking you, it's because I just want to genuinely help you
Yeah.
design something cool
Hmm.
and make money off of it, dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the artwork is mine. I'll make stickers and posters and shit, but that's just because it's my art. But
Hmm.
it's like, I think it's just the coolest way to work with people. I just find it amazing to work with people when it comes to art.
Yeah.
Like your bait making, my art concepts,
Yeah.
designing logos and
Yeah.
all that stuff. It's just, I think it's so rad. And it sucks at the same time because with success, you get haters, as you probably know, and
Hmm.
people will hate you for the concept ideas. And just like tattooing, oh, I was this first and I was that first. And I just don't care, dude. You know what I mean? I really don't care. And when it comes, it's even gone as far as like, uh, I've helped people with some of their fundraisers
Hmm.
and their ideas, and then they turn around and talk smack about my fundraiser and say that I'm all these bad, horrible things, and I'm just like, okay, well that's unfortunate. Or I'll help somebody design a T-shirt, and I'll make them a T-shirt, and then they get mad at me because they think I want their bait, and I'm like, I don't want anything from you, dude.
Yeah.
If I wanted a bait, I could just buy your bait.
Right. Yeah.
Like you the, the this happened only a couple times so far in my raising of Swimbait culture, but it has happened, and it always blows my mind that if I'm here to help and help like collaborate with you, and then you get mad at me for wanting to help you because you think I want something from you, like that's a bad thought mindset to
Yeah.
be in. I feel bad for you,
Right.
and I don't let it stop me. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And Swimbait culture, like I said, it has grown into a massive brand. Like I can't even keep up with it and to the point where it's like, okay, I went through a divorce 3 years ago, so I shut it down for a little while. Everyone's like, dude, what happened to Swimbait culture? I still did the events,
Hmm.
but I stopped with like the new designs and like the new shirts and all this other stuff and products. But that's only because of the legality of my divorce, right? Like it was created during the time when I was married, and we were having to unfortunately fight over things that were owned, so to
Yeah.
speak. And so now that that's all done, and now that it's all mine again, I'm able to like focus back on it, and Yeah, Swimbait Culture is. If you guys thought we had a lot of products before, oof, man, you guys, it's gonna be fun. We got some cool stuff coming.
Heck yeah,
Cool
dude.
stuff.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
What's the Instagram and the website for Swimbait Culture if guys don't already follow you?
It's just at Swimbait Culture. So you can just follow us on all platforms. Swimbaitculture.com, at Swimbait Culture on Instagram, on Facebook. Our biggest event that we do is Swimbaits for Autism, which you're a proud sponsor of
Oh yeah.
that. And many platforms, Swimbait Universe. I love those guys. I'll mention them many times because they've helped us grow as well. But Swimbait Culture is now to, this brand that I've babied and I've worked so hard on and making it grow organically. I mean, even to the point where the haters are like, "You're buying your followers," and you're like, "Okay, you're doing something right when they say that to you."
Yeah.
And social media, Instagram is hard to grow a following on right
Oh
now.
yeah.
Your algorithm has to be on point.
Hmm.
Facebook is hard to grow on, not as much, but not as hard as Instagram. And Swimbait Culture, our interactions in our things are just between 175K to almost a million every 30 days as
Yeah.
far as people interacting with our pages.
Hmm.
Facebook is up to 18,000 on that, and our TikTok is up to 26,000. Like
Yeah.
we're killing it. We're killing it. It's all because of guys like you, man. It's all because of guys like you supporting what we do and us supporting you
Yeah.
and just growing the industry to like. I I don't think people should be mad at each other for making baits. This is a very fine subject matter when people get angry about making baits, and I know because I make baits and I finally started making my own baits, but um, you know it's a big industry, and yeah, right now people are feeling it because the economy or whatever, blah blah blah. But I hope that people don't stop creating baits. I really hope that it keeps growing bigger and bigger because it's just I know the real industry of fishing,
Hmm.
working with Okuma, Savage Gear, and you're talking about billions and
Yeah.
billions of dollars in fishing industry a year. And the big bait world doesn't even have a pebble sand
Yeah.
of that
Right.
market yet. We do now a little
Mhm.
bit
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of Mike. Mike was the first one to break through. Mike is another OG from back in the days. But, Mike Buka, I used to see him at ICAST before. He became who he is now. And, Spro, Bill Semental working with Spro back in the
Mhm.
days and doing the rad and all that stuff. Like
Yeah.
these are guys that have invented the wheel for this industry to go mainstream. And, you know, some people can't keep up with it, like Piz and Trashy and
Yeah.
certain guys like Rafa and all these guys that are making. I mean, forgive me if I don't say who you are, but there's plenty of guys out there, KGB, all these guys that make great baits that can't keep up with their consumers because what people don't understand is this market is big enough for all of us,
Yeah.
to be
Oh,
honest with you.
100%.
And and for them to be small-minded, so to speak, and to think in a box this big and get mad at each other for, oh, you're gonna create a podcast. I already had a podcast,
Yeah.
or oh, you're gonna create a big bait brand when we're the brand, and oh, you're gonna create a forum when we have a forum, or you're gonna create a group when we're a group. But dude, what people don't realize is like there is enough to go around. And if you don't worry about everyone else's noise and just focus on what you want to do and you love doing it, bro, you're gonna grow. You're gonna grow that brand beyond what people could
Thousand
be.
percent.
You
Yeah.
know,
Thousand
people are
percent.
fearful. People are, yeah, people are fearful of people like you and I,
Mhm.
who decide to jump off the ledge, so to speak, and take it and say, you know what? I don't care what everybody thinks.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna create something cool. Go with it. And then next, you're at 205 episodes, and now,
Yeah.
I'm at. I mean, I'm just gonna say it's a very successful brand. Like we've grown it to a point where it's a business,
Yeah.
and I treat it like a business, right?
Mhm.
It's not just something that I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna do this and put it on the back burner and not pay my taxes. Like, no, it's a business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Treat it like a business.
Yeah.
Grow it like a business. At the same time, respect your audience, grow your audience, be organic, create a subculture within your brand. Like, make yourself unique.
Yeah.
People aren't going to buy your stuff if there's nothing that they feel connected to. And the best brands, at least as far as my advice goes, is like grow your brand to where people feel connected to the brand or you personally in some way or another. And the
Mhm.
rest is history.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the same thing like the big bait world. Like, please, guys, like, I know a lot of people are arguing, and I know a lot because being in the position I'm in, I hear it from all ends, bro. And it's like, I'm like, calm down, just keep making baits. Don't worry about this. Like, it's
Yeah.
all good. The economy's gonna come back. Don't quit. I mean, I've done it all. And then I have awesome ones where it's like, dude, I can't keep up with my baits. Oh, I don't know what to do, you know? And it's like, so it's just like, I really hope this industry keeps growing bigger and bigger because it's
Mhm.
just, it's so awesome. Like the group of guys that are here, it's a big community, um, online present. It's mostly an online community.
Yeah.
So, and it's all positive vibes. Everything that's done, I think in fishing all the time, it's always been like fascinating how it's always genuine fishing. Anything that's related to fishing, whether it's big bait fishing, bass fishing, crappie fishing, tournaments, everything's always been like genuine, honest,
Yeah.
right? Like you don't cheat,
Yeah.
you don't steal, you don't do this because that's how fishing is. It's just like an
Mhm.
all-American pastime. That's at least I say all-American because I'm American and we're in America.
Right.
I
Right.
know it's worldwide.
Yeah.
I just want to get that out there. But it's a pastime that's just honest and like chill, and it's you don't want to ruin that. So you guys, I hope everyone keeps it up, keeps making dope baits, man. I
Yeah.
hope this industry keeps growing for sure.
Yeah. I'm
For
excited,
sure. I
man.
got cool stuff coming.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. I'm
Yeah.
excited
Excited.
to see the community grow, to see more people pick up the camera and film themselves, whether it's just, cast to catch GoPro stuff or talking in
Yeah.
front of the camera. I think it's good
Great.
for everybody. The more stuff that's out there to get the normal bass fishing general consumer into our market and get eyes on your brand or
Yeah.
my brand or Depths or Bullshit or whatever else it may be.
Yeah.
Like that's good for everybody. We all benefit from that. Even if it's just a
Yeah.
Instagram follow or a sticker purchase, like no matter what it is, everybody's getting a benefit from it, I think. So I'm in the same boat as you.
I agree.
People ask me, "Oh, do you mind if I start a podcast?" I don't mind. The podcast was never my idea. It was never Nick from Cast and Crank's idea. Whoever the first person was to make a podcast, that was their idea. Everybody just puts their own
Right.
turns and twists on it. And so, yeah, like you said, there's more than enough dip in the bowl for everybody to scoop their chip in. And I get excited when I see stuff
Yeah.
like that. When I see these new companies or new brands or new builders or whatever else it may be come out with these new ideas and new concepts. It's just it's breathing life into the scene more so than there already was before.
For sure. For sure. It's just like tattooing. It's like when tattooing, there's every so often there's a revolution of new styles that come out and it like revamps the industry and it's great. And the big bait world does the same thing, You have these great bait makers, the original, the OGs that we would call them, and then you have the new guys and then the guys in the middle. But everyone contributes to the growing of the industry
Yeah.
and the growing of the fascination of the big bait world. You know what I mean? I mean,
Mhm.
come on. I mean, let's just get to the point now where we're barely starting to touch the market of big baits being in Bassmasters and
Yeah.
MLF,
Yeah.
where you got guys now like Alden Jr., like all these guys like
Yeah.
Chris
Yeah.
Dane and all these guys being like, I use this bait or I'm fishing this bait, or you would never see them pull out. Brandon Polnick, I love that dude. And you would never see these guys throwing glide baits during the
Yeah.
tournament.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody got time for that. So, now you got, from watching my dear friends like Piz going to the Bassmaster Classics and having a bigger line than the pros themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that tells you the fascination with catching big fish with lures that are made by hands. I mean, that is amazing. It's artwork that comes to life that catches something living, and there's nothing better than
Yeah.
that. Just
Yeah.
my point. Oh, tattooing is another one, but you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
you're creating something that people are like in touch with, and it's great. And I love being a part of this community, and I love being able to, help when I can and help these brands or help these new bait makers, um, and just work with so many great individuals and working with yourself. I'm sorry I took so long. I know we were supposed to do this a long time ago, but I just I wasn't at the right state of mind, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like going through life changes and the divorce and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But I'm glad I've made it through and I've been focusing back on life again. And Swimbait Culture is doing good. Um, I just had a beautiful new little girl with my girl, and she was just born on last Sunday. And
Yes,
I live in a
congratulations,
small
man.
small town America. It's
Yeah.
great, man. Trashy's down the street from me. That's my new homie right there. We go fishing all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so I mean, I love Josh. He even went to the baby shower. It was so funny. But it's just I love this community, man, and I love that the people that are involved with me and with the
Yeah.
things I do, and vice versa with the things that I'm involved with them, and
Mhm.
and I'm just grateful to be in the position that I'm in. I'm grateful that tattooing and my art put me in the position to be in fishing, and I'm grateful that fishing and the tattooing put me in the position to be the owner of Swimbait Culture and grow to the brand where we can worldwide promote this industry on another level. And I mean, the insights are insane. There's only a few people that see my insights on the way that our pages run, and
Mhm.
I know how it works.
Yeah, yeah.
And Instagram grows constantly. You
Mhm.
don't buy nothing. That's growing 1,000, 2,000, like 3,000.
Wow.
We got multiple videos over millions of views.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Mhm.
And so if I reach out to you and I want to work with you, this is me just telling you on the podcast. If I reach out to you and I want to work with you, it's not because I need your bait. It's
Yeah.
not because I think it's cool and I want a free bait. I don't want anything free. And if you give it to me free, I'm grateful for it and I'll fish it. And I'll tell you it sucks if it does, and I'll tell you it's great if it does too. But I mean, it's just like the whole point is that if I reach out to you, it's because I think it's cool and I want to help you and I want to help you grow, and I want you to understand that our platform, the main reason why I made it is to help you guys, to help it grow, to
Yeah.
help promote baits, to help promote podcasts, to help promote a bait maker who's in the middle of nowhere, or if he's in SoCal and that's all
Yeah.
he does, or whatever the case may be. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Or if you have a family relative that you feel needs help. I mean, I've done it all, man. I don't ever speak of the things that I do because I don't feel that it's necessary. I just want to let your audience know that I
Yeah.
am here to help. And if you guys ever need my platform for that, it's always here. As long as it's legit.
Mhm.
Don't be coming at me with some crappy stuff because I ain't gonna do it. But if
Yeah.
it's legit and everything looks out and works out great, I'm more than willing to help for sure,
Yeah, heck
100%.
yeah, man. I can speak for myself that I
Yeah,
appreciate what you do for the community, not only for the guys who are fishing swim baits, but also like the autism awareness event and everything like that
thank you.
in April. It's such a cool thing, and you've been doing it. This coming up year will be your
This was our
sixth
sixth
year.
year.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say. I
6 year.
remember. Man, that's so cool. That's
Yeah,
so awesome. And as always,
yeah,
I'll put all Gus's stuff in the show notes. You guys can go follow Swimbait Culture, check out the
yeah, yeah.
website and stuff if you don't
Yeah, next
already.
year's gonna be even. Yeah, next year we got a cool one. Since I got a really cool neighbor, you can kind of guess who next year is gonna be.
Heck
It's gonna
yeah.
be. I'm just gonna announce it right now. It's gonna be Trashy.
Heck
So
yeah, man.
Trashy is Swim Baits for Autism, year 7. We've already been talking about it, and I told him my ideas, and it's gonna be awesome. And I'm gonna have him on here with me for
Heck
the
yeah.
event. I've never had that. I've never had the actual bait maker with me do
Mhm.
the event too. But since Josh is here, I thought it'd be a great idea to do it with Josh on here and
Yeah.
work with Trashy. Trashy's another guy that nobody really knew of when
Hmm.
we first met, and
Yeah.
we showcased him on the platforms, and he just grown to what he is now. And and he's a down to earth dude. He's a great
Hmm.
guy. I love fishing with him.
Yeah.
It's like fishing with somebody I've known for 50
Yeah. Yeah.
years, and he's like, I've never fished with anybody that outfishes me on my own lake. I got to give you credit for that. And I was like, I just got lucky, Josh. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
But but it's nice that this community is big enough that I moved to a small town in Ohio,
Hmm.
and long behold, I got like 4 or 5 guys around me
Yeah.
from from community that are my friends that show me where to go fishing, and I'm not here by myself. And leaving somewhere I grew up my whole life was a little scary. So it's nice to have some people around me I can hang out with, like Josh and his wife. They're amazing. It's just been a great blessing to be again in the position that I am in my life and be able to work with all of you guys. So I just want to let you guys know that I really appreciate it. Totally.
Heck yeah, man.
Universe, love you guys. All you guys. You guys are awesome.
Heck yeah, man. And like I said, we all appreciate what you do for the community. And again, like I said,
Yeah.
all of Gus's stuff will be in the show notes. You guys can check out the website, check out the Instagram.
Yeah.
You see what he's into when he, resharing or sharing or posting new designs or whatever else it may be. Or you guys can wait around and then next next April during the autism awareness event, you guys can see what the trashy stuff's all about. But as always, Gus, thank you for taking time out of your Saturday afternoon
You're welcome, man.
with the newborn in the
You're
house.
welcome.
I appreciate it, man. I'm so glad that you got
Newborn.
around to doing it. I'm excited. This one's gonna be
Yeah.
a good one. People are gonna like it, I think.
It's gonna be awesome, dude. It's gonna be awesome. So, thanks again for your time, dude. I really appreciate it. Thank you all again one more time for helping Swimbait Culture grow to what it is. There's a lot of families that you don't know about. There's
Mm,
a lot of friends. There's a lot of individual people, a lot of bait makers behind the scenes that you guys don't know about that you all have helped out by supporting us. And so, from them to me, I just want to say, guys, tell everybody thank you for supporting us because it does make a big impact behind the scenes, and
yeah.
we truly appreciate it. So.
So
Yep.
awesome, man. So awesome. As always, I want
Yeah.
to thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you guys on episode 206. See you guys.